Hi everyone, Dave here. Thank you so much for coming along to another episode of Legends of the Spire. Great to have you with us. This is the unapologetically niche podcast about former players of Chesterfield Football Club. Now, on the podcast this week, I spoke to Luke Beckett. Now, when I started this podcast way over a year ago now, Luke Beckett was one of the most requested names by people listening to the podcast. So it was great to finally track him down, and he was very, very happy to come on and talk about his football career. He is a born and bred goal scorer, lived and breathed goals. So it was really interesting to have a chat with him about what the qualities were that made him a great goal scorer, the feeling of scoring a goal and the things that he's taken away from his football career. You can hear the passion in his voice when he talks about scoring goals. So there's plenty of video footage of the goals in the podcast as well to bring back some happy memories. Now, in that period at Chesterfield, obviously Luke Beckett joined us at the turn of the century, was part of the squad that Nicky Law put together under the ownership of Darren Brown. And at the time there was controversy when the police raided the club, that there was kind of rumours, reports of two contracts for Luke Beckett that were created to lower the tribunal fee from when he joined us at Chesterfield from Chester. Luke was really happy for me to ask those questions and gave his honest answers to those. So I hope it sheds a bit of light on that troubled time at the club. But the most important thing to take away from this podcast is that Luke Beckett was a born goal scorer. So just enjoy listening to him talk about scoring goals, because it's absolutely what football is all about. As always, we are at Spire Legends on Twitter, Instagram, Legends of the Spire on Facebook, so please do get in touch. But here we are with the latest episode of Legends of the Spire with Luke Beckett. Legends of the Spire!
If we start at the beginning, so you're Sheffielder, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm from Sheffield. In just up from Wednesday ground, Hillsborough, Parson Cross, just up there. Literally a 5-minute walk from Chef Wednesday ground. From born, same house until I moved out, I think I was 24. I was still at Chesterfield when I moved out. I loved it at home. My mum and dad were great. Left me to my own devices, and it was only when I met me, who's my wife now, when I was at Chesterfield, that my wife got pregnant and we moved to Chapeltown in Sheffield. Just born and bred, and just a nice place to sort of grow up.
Yeah. Which side of the city are you then?
Neither really. I'm a man. I know it sounds a bit thingy now because everyone's a Man City fan, but in them days it weren't cool to be a Man City fan. But my mum was the big driving force of football. Her and her dad, or my granddad, they were big Man City fans. They're from Manchester. All my family are from Manchester. And my dad, who wasn't right bothered about football, and that's where that come from. So yeah, we were season ticket holders at Man City until I were 15, until I were I left and I had to go to Barnes, and I couldn't go anymore. We went to City. That was when City were struggling, up and down leagues. And Man U were doing good, So, but I mean, I ain't been to a football match for years. But yeah, we were. But all my friends were. Obviously, I went to school. Everyone were Wednesday or United. All my mates were United fans. I live near Wednesday ground, so whenever City played United or Wednesday, we're just, I were the only Man City fan. But whereas now everyone's a Man City fan. You want to be a Man City fan, don't you? But yeah, so Man City fan went there. When I was a kid with my dad.
It's probably in Sheffield, it's probably a blessing in a way not to be supporting either, because you don't get wrapped up in that whole Derby Day stuff, do you?
No, it's the same with any city. It's just like United on Wednesday was so, everyone at school, when you were at school, everyone were like United on Wednesday, and I was, it were like whenever they were a game, it's a big rivalry in Sheffield, still is. You don't want to be in town centre when Wednesday United are playing. So it's just one of them. It is a big rivalry, and just like any other city, two teams.
Were you always like a football fan then? Were you always a?
Yeah, always. I were used to watch football like everyone does. I've seen a few of the stuff. Whenever I listen to anyone, in them days, there were nothing else to do. You know, I didn't have a phone till I was 22. I never had a computer. All it were football or tennis or cricket, whatever it were. If Wimbledon were on, you had a tennis racket. Football were on. If cricket were on, you'd have a cricket bat and you were playing it straight. That's all it were. Come home from school, go out. Come home for your tea, go out, go to the park. That's all you did. Nowadays, I mean, my kids, they're in the room on the phones. But yeah, I always loved football. And from a young age, we used to go, when I was a kid, we used to go every now and again. And then when I was about 12, we got a season ticket and we used to go home. And then for a couple of seasons, my dad took me home and away. We were going to Arsenal, Chelsea, you know, when I was 13, 14, when I was really getting involved and I was playing. Because in them days, you couldn't play football till you were 9. Whereas now they're like, you're in academies at 6 years. You had to be 9 years old to even be involved in the team. But always loved football. I mean, my first memory were probably the World Cup in '86. I was born in '76. So just like the Diego Maradona thing, I just remember that. And going back, even before that, when Lineker scored a hat-trick, I remember being a kid. I was a kid watching it through night because I think it was in somewhere across the other side of the world and it were through night. Me and my mum watched it when he had his arm in his cast, and that's my first memory of ever watching a game where Lineker scoring actually against Poland, which I think was in '86. So it's always been football, always.
How did you end up at Barnsley then? Because you were there from, what, like 91 to 98, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them stories where it's a little bit of one where like people fall away so easy in football. But I went to Barnsley. I'd been at United, Wednesday, Leeds. I'd trialled at all them clubs and nothing sort of went. No, I weren't. I mean, I was from 9 to 12, 13. I was the best. Tricky little winger, unbelievably. People will be like, well, "What are you going on about?" But I were, and then I got Osgood Slatters as I grew about a foot in about a week, and I really struggled around about 14 years old, and I was like Tin Man. I couldn't move. I had to have time off. Anyway, I had to write with my dad. Wrote to Barnsley. Went to Barnsley, and I did really well. And at the time, a couple of years, did really well, and I got offered a YTS apprenticeship, whatever you call it, before school. Oh, I'm getting a YTS at school. Then the school's like, yeah, whatever, Luke, you know, what else do you want to do? And then it all just went a bit pear-shaped. There was a youth team coach at the time who had never seen me play. Must have come to watch a game, and he didn't fancy me at all. Eric Winstanley. And he said, no, I'm not sure about, I want him to come in. So I had to go in 2 weeks before Easter holidays on my GCSE year. I went in 2 weeks on my own with the kids 2 years older than me, and I just didn't get a kick out of it. I was just bullied all over. I just couldn't get a kick and stuff. And then I went in 2 weeks in the Easter holidays with my own age, and we all went in, finished the 2 weeks, and he never said a word to me. He said, oh, the ones I hadn't said out to, you come and play for the under-18s on a Sunday. So I come out of the ground. My dad was stood. I just started crying, got in the car, started crying. 16, I've been promised the YTS. No, I mean, it wouldn't happen nowadays. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to tell someone they got a what and then not. Got in the car, started crying. My dad said, listen, do you want to be a footballer or not? I said, yeah. He said, right. We'll do it. We went to gym that night. Not tomorrow, that night. Listen, we're going to gym. I'm going to get you a sprint coach. I couldn't move. My knees were so sore, even at that age. And my dad, yeah, if it hadn't been for him, I'd have been like any other kid. Oh, right, you know, girlfriends, booze, stand on street corner. But he went, no, right, we're going to gym that night. Went for his tea, went straight to gym, built me up, got a sprint coach. And it learned me the best thing in life, which were what now called yoga. They call it yoga now. In them days, it was just stretching. And everyone who's ever played with me, they'll say, all he did was stretch. I used to stretch before the warm-up. Because you went to Alan Shraria's in Hillsborough, And all they did were, if it were 2 hours, it were an hour of warm-up, stretching. And it's the best thing I ever done. Stretching, and I used to stretch whenever I went away, no matter who I was away, I'd find a corner, I'd find the showers, whatever it were, and I'd stretch before the warm-up. And that's what I had to do. I could have just fell back wayside. I'd love to say it was me, but I don't think it were. I think it was my mum and dad. If it hadn't have been for them, I'd have probably been, right, I'm going out with a girl, or I'm going to go for a drink.
Yeah.
So that's how my Barnsley career started. It was pretty bad, like I said. Luckily for me, Eric Winstanley, who was a youth team coach that season, he got promoted to first team coach, and youth team coach come in, Colin Walker, who changed my life. I played for the Sunday team for Barnsley, and luckily got a YTS about 6 months later. But I actually did a mechanics course for 6 months from leaving school. Played for the Sunday team. We're doing well, and we had to beg Colin. Listen, me and my dad went in. Give me a chance. Give me a YTS. He said, "You've not got time, Luke. This were in February. You've only got a year and a half. The lads are too good. You can't do it." But I said, "Just give me a chance," and he did. And went and sort of did okay, and obviously the rest is sort of history, really. From being a kid, my dad was so hard on me. Like, he used to shout. It was only dad that shouted on. If I lost the ball, "Luke, do you want to be famous?" He just used to shout ball, and Colin took that over, and that's what I needed in my career, and that's what Nicky Law, to be fair, later on when I get to Chesterfield, I need them characters. Carlton Palmer was the same, who are going to hold me accountable if I lose the ball. And that's what Colin Walker took over.
Yeah.
He was like, "Luke, you've lost the ball. Don't do that again." And my career were more scared of letting people down. That's what I was, letting the fans down more than anything else. And, he took over where my dad sort of couldn't shout on it anymore, because it was a bit embarrassing when you're 18. He used to say, "Listen, Luke, that's not good enough." And like I said with Eric, I think I won him over in the end. I think it took a few years, but that was my driving force. I hated people who didn't. It was more proving people wrong than proving people right. Yeah, I think that was more the thing with my career, especially early on when I was a young pro at Barnsley.
So you ended up at Chester then, didn't you? So you had a couple of years at Chester, and that's where you started kind of scoring goals, I suppose, and getting a bit of attention. You were Player of the Year, I think, there as well, weren't you?
Yeah. I had 3 years at Barnsley Pro. Barnsley was in the Premier League the last year. I never got a sniff. I think it was, like I said, with Eric Winstanley and with Danny Wilson, who was a manager. I think they couldn't not listen to what I was doing, but they just didn't want me to. They couldn't let me go, but they didn't want me. I mean, I was in one squad in 3 years, and I was scoring goals in reserves. It was like, we can't really let him go, but we don't want to play him. And we'd got relegated from the Premier League. It was our third year pro. I mean, it wouldn't happen now. 21-year-old and you've not made it. But there were no loan in them days. No one went on loan. And I went into Danny. I knew he was probably going to offer me another contract. And I said, "Listen, I've got to go and play football." I was nearly 22 years old. And he didn't say to me, "Listen, Luke, we've just been relegated. You're going to be in there." He didn't say that. He said, "Listen, Luke, right, there's a couple of clubs after you sort of thing want you. We're going to want some sort of fee for you, small but sell on and all that type of thing." And he said to me, "Listen, there's a couple of clubs, Ensford, who were non-league, and Chester, who was in the old third division, the bottom league. Go and speak to him." And that's what I did. He didn't say to me, "Listen, Luke, you're going to..." I mean, as it happened, about 2 weeks later, Danny left, went to Sheff Wednesday, got a great move. And that year, Barnsley were in the Championship, and they were playing kids 2 years younger than me. And I'd have probably played, but I never once have ever regretted what I did. I went to Chester, and it changed my life.
Do you think you would have ended up staying there a bit longer? Because obviously they ended up it was the second season, wasn't it? They got relegated, didn't they, from the Football League? And
yeah, I mean, I went to Chester and Kevin Ratcliffe were manager, and he believed in me, and it would a big signing. I was only, I think it was 20 grand and a sell-on clause, but he wanted me there. He said, "Listen, you're my signing." And third division in them days, didn't pay a fee for anyone, but I was a young kid, and I could have gone to Ensford non-league. They'd had a good cup run. They were offering me more money. They were offering me signing on fee and everything. But in them days, if you drop non-league, it was like dropping into Bermuda Triangle. There were no coming back from it. Whereas now it's a progressional league it was one down, one up. You didn't come back from there. And my youth team manager said, "Listen, look, don't go non-league. Whatever you do, don't go non-league. You'll not get back." And I took a contract at Chester that was so poor to what I was offered somewhere else, but it was in the league. And all I ever wanted to do, I hated reserve football. It didn't matter. There was nothing there. Whereas the thrill of the first team, no matter how many fans are there, whether it be 300 at Chester or 3,000 at Chesterfield or 30,000 at Sheffield United, they are 300 diehard fans at Chester. And I just loved it. And I went there, took a hit. I was travelling 4 hours a day. I think I was spending more in petrol than what I earned, but it was a chance, and it worked out well. I scored goals in the second season. I think I finished second top goal scorer behind Marco Gabbiadini at Darlington, and we got relegated. I got a good name for myself as a lower league sort of striker, and then obviously Chester got relegated, which were terrible. But we had an American owner come in, and it was just, I think it was the first club ever to went into administration. I was so used to it when I went to Chesterfield and we went into administration. I'd already had it with Chester and not getting paid, and it was such a tough time, but I just absolutely loved it. I loved the first team buzz, like that day. Yeah. I just loved scoring goals. I loved my name being in paper. It sounds selfish, it sounds unbelievably egotistical, but I loved my name being in paper. Like if I scored on a Saturday, I'd ring my mum and dad at home, my wife, Sky Sports News, get on, and they used to come in every hour. The goals had come in, and we'd tape it on, all the old VHS. I've got it, and then it'd be on goals on a Sunday, and I just loved that. I loved Beckett and newspaper on a Sunday and a Monday. Just absolutely, just loved it.
Oh, and like you say, just being in front of a crowd and scoring in front of a crowd, it's like any fan. I've said it on a few podcasts before, but just give me one appearance on a football pitch and give me a tap in from 2 yards. It'd just be, I can imagine that the feeling of just being a goal scorer and kind of visibly seeing people jumping up and down must just be awesome.
Yeah, I loved the fan. I loved everything about scoring a goal. I get in trouble, Mrs. Harbour go at me, but having kids, it's such a great. It's not a great feeling, watching you in pain while you're having a child. It's not a great feeling. What's a great feeling is scoring away from home at Cardiff in last minute 3-2. Take my shirt off. That is, I can't. That's the only thing I miss about football. I don't miss anything else. I remember all the 164 goals I scored in the league. I can name them all. I can't name the score because it didn't matter. It mattered the goal, the score. If you watch any of my goals, my shirt's off or I jump into the crowd because I just absolutely loved the emotion of scoring a goal. No matter whether it's 300 at Chester, when I went to Gainsborough, 150, it don't matter. Them 150 people care as much as 70,000 for an England game.
Totally, yeah.
And that's what I loved. And there's no one can ever say that I didn't love jumping in the crowd. I absolutely loved it. It didn't matter who said, don't jump in there, don't do that. No. And even when I moved clubs and I played against an old club, And I mean, I never stayed much weight for long, so I never had that unbelievable affinity. But if I scored a goal, I couldn't not celebrate. It was just, I couldn't not celebrate. It was the best feeling in the world. I can't replicate it now. You know, my kid's gone to uni and the kids are doing well. But that sort of raw emotion, I think it is, that raw emotion of that second, I can't get that back ever, no matter whether if I'm a manager. But it's in my head.
Yeah, can you almost like visualize like that, like physical feeling of, never like bring it back in your head, kind of that feeling of.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I've got a picture, and it was, I did my knee, my cruciate ligament. I was out for 9 months at Stockport. And I come back in pre-season. I hated pre-season. I didn't score a goal. Always looked going to be the same. We played Huddersfield. Huddersfield had been promoted. And I come back, 20 minutes gone. Didn't get a kick at ball. And ball come in. And I got a diving header top corner. Shut my eyes. Didn't even know when it went. I knew where goal went in. And there's a picture of me. I've got my arms up, running towards Cat. And like, if you said to me, Luke, you've just won lottery £1 million, I could not produce that joy that I had that day. Like, I'd been out for 9 months. Everyone were like, oh, is Luke going to be saying that's blah, blah, blah. Scored a diving header, 20 minutes, first game of the season. And that picture says everything about me and football.
After 7 defeats off the reel, no one expected Chester to blow Torquay away last weekend. But they couldn't follow up at Spotland. Graham Lancashire's 6th in 7 games had Dale in front with just 9 played. He's bowling them over. And that appeared to be that. But 8 minutes from time, Luke Beckett capped a splendid individual performance by starting and finishing the move, which brought his side level. It was certainly no fluke from Luke. But the brave fight back was to end in heartbreak. Dave Bayliss hooking across Wayne Brown for the dramatic winner. And Chester were well and truly browned off. Rochdale 2, Chester 1.
And it's interesting because I put out on social media that I was talking to you. And a few years ago, we had a young striker, Luke Rawson, who like came through the Chesterfield ranks and played a few games. I think he's at Bradford Park Avenue now. And his dad tweeted me and said, you know, Luke's named after.
Yeah.
Like, he's named after Luke Beckett. So it's like, it's amazing where you've even like there's footballers now out in the world that are actually named after you because their dads like watched you playing football, which is just amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't believe that because you just think Chesterfield, they've not. If it were Man U, you'd believe it, but if you're a Chesterfield fan, you do name your son after, and it's hard to believe. I mean, I remember when I were at Chester, I remember holding before game, who's ever had a baby, I've named him after you. That's like 24 years ago. I've named him Luke, and I'd have a picture and stuff. That happened loads of times. So, like I say, I don't think about it much because it's just a bit blowing smoke up, But people don't like. It don't matter who it is. I mean, I went to Worksop. They were like 100 fans, but they loved Worksop. They were from Worksop and they loved Worksop just as much as anyone do. And like you said with Luke Wilson and stuff, it's like you don't believe it now because I'm doing a normal job and no one cares. My kids don't even, like I said, half the time my kids don't even know that I played football because it were years ago. But yeah, it's nice to think that, and I forget about that because although anyone who says they don't like it, they do. Of course they do. They love people coming on. I used to go to Meadowhall. Everyone would want an autograph, like because I'd played for Chesterfield local clubs. I don't want to be hassled. Yeah, you do. You want to be hassled because when you're not being hassled, that's when you
got to worry.
That's when you've got to worry. That's what I've said. That's when you've got to worry. People love it. They say they don't, but they do. No matter how big you are, you love people loving you. And when they don't love you, you're not doing it anymore, are you? You're not in the limelight.
Yeah. So how did it all come about with Chesterfield then? So this is 2000, and it was Nicky Law, wasn't it, who had kind of taken?
Yeah, like I said, I'd scored 19 goals for Chester. We got relegated. There was an American owner in the year before, and there were loads of clubs after me. We weren't getting paid. I got Sammy McElroy at Macclesfield. He met me in Sheffield. Luke, you're not getting paid. You can give 2 weeks' notice and leave. I said to Sammy, I'm not doing that. The manager was Kevin Ratcliffe. And he put so much faith in me. I said, I'm not doing it. There's no way am I ditching the club. They've given me a chance. I'm not doing it. If you want me, put a bid in. I was doing well. Played that season, and then this American owner come in. And I said, listen, I've done well. I did well. I had an on and off season the first season. I was injured a couple of times, but I'd scored a few goals. And I got a bit of there were a few clubs after me. And he said, listen, look, you've got a year left. I'm not giving you no. You've got your contract. And I thought, right, okay. That season, I scored 19 goals. We got relegated. And there were loads of clubs. Every club in that division wanted me. And really in the league below, I got a phone call from Nottingham Forest manager. There were anyone who could sort of afford that wanted me. They were York, Russian and Diamonds, who were in the league below, had got some money. York, Mansfield and Chesterfield could make this agent come to me. I can't even remember his name. Agent come to me and said, listen, look, I can get you this. I was like, right, brilliant. It was like 4 or 5 times my wage at Chester. It was ridiculous what I was going to get offered. And I was like, right, leave it to you. We went to Rushden, spoke to Mansfield on phone. York, went to Nicky. And I just liked it. For a start, it was close for me because I obviously lived in Sheffield. I've been travelling 4 hours a day to Chester. It was just, like I said, it was a nightmare. Chesterfield was so close. They'd just come down from, I think, League One, but whatever it were in them days. In them days, there were no, I didn't have a computer till I didn't, you couldn't look up internet. It was just like, oh, Chesterfield have been relegated, but they're going to be a big club. Got a new chairman, new manager. I went to speak to Nicky and Ian Banks, and I just thought, yeah, he looks like a character who's going to want to pull the best out of me, similar to my youth team and my dad. He just looked like one of them that, like, Nicky looked like one of them where, look, if you're not doing good, I'm gonna chin you. That's how it looked with Nicky, and I like that. I like that fear of not wanting to let people down, and that's what Nicky were like.
It's funny because I spoke to Nicky Law on the podcast, and even when speaking to him on Zoom, it kind of I felt like a bit intimidated because he's still got an aura around him.
Oh yeah,
you think like I won't mess with him, and
no,
you know that he wants what he wants, which is, it was really interesting speaking to him. I really loved speaking to him, but he has got like quite an intimidating aura around him. I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, no, it's a big compliment. He was that's what he were, and they demanded that from you, and I love that, because that's what got the best out of me. Some people don't like that demand. I love that demand of, come on, Luke, you've just lost ball. Don't do that again.
Yeah. Like
I said, I'm all played through the fear of hearing my dad saying, do you want to be famous? Don't do that. Don't let that defender take it off you again. No.
Yeah.
That's what I loved, and that's what Nicky brought. It was so thorough, and the players they were signing, and it were a no-brainer. I was going to go to Chesterfield, and it was just the best move for me at the time.
Roger Willis down the line. Fortune comes across straight away. Willis sends a good ball inside, a good run from Galloway. Beckett now if he can drive one. Blue shirts arriving in vast numbers all of a sudden. Ebden in the area. Beckett giving turn. Still Luke Beckett. Yes! Ryan Williams against his former club scores for the Spirites. Chesterfield 2, Mansfield Town 0, and we still have 7 minutes of the first half remaining. Which Bobby Mims will take. Edwards. Willis. Beckett's chance now for Chesterfield. Beckett's away hearing, put it past the keeper. Yes! 3-0 to the Blues. Luke Beckett, the goal scorer for Chesterfield.
So it was a ridiculous, like some of the signings they made around then and the squad that they put together. And I've had people like Sean Parrish, and we've had David Reeves and a few others on from that season. And yeah, I mean, could you tell right from the start, like looking around at your fellow teammates, that this was a good squad that had been put together?
Yeah, like I said, I hated the reserve football, it not mattering. And when I went to Chester, some of the characters at Chester, like just the players were just totally different attitude. There was no big time, like in the youth team and the reserves. It had gone. It were first team football. And I mean, the first day I went to Chester, I was so nervous. I rung my mum from a phone book and didn't have a mobile phone. I was so nervous going into Chester. I didn't know anyone. I was 22. I never met a dev. You know, and you're in corner. It was first day of prison. I took my shirt off and next minute I heard, and I've just let you out of prison because I've got a few tattoos and it were a kid called Gary Bennett who were an older professional striker. I was coming in there to take his position, and he just made that comment and introduced me to everyone. And like Dave Flitcroft, these players, it was just so, to introduce someone in like that, it was just brilliant. Them people, I can't thank them enough for just breaking ice and getting you involved. And it was the same with Chesterfield. Like, obviously by then, I'd got a name, I'd scored a few goals, and I was coming as a fairly big, because obviously when I left Chester, I was 23, so it went to tribunal, which we'll come on to later.
We'll mention it.
I'm sure. And it was same with like David Reeves, like older striker, not coming to take his place, but coming in there. And did he treat me? No, he didn't. He treated me as a friend, introduced me to everyone, and that's what football is. Like, I've never come across one person in the whole of my career in football who I can say I didn't like him. Not one. All just absolute brilliant. Like the players at Chesterfield, we had Reeves, Mike Pollitt, Breckin. I can run through all team. Breckin, Blatherwick, Steve Payne, Steve Tuttle, Ebden, Richardson, Ryan Williams, Sean Parrish. What character, like, just like, and then me and Reeves are just, and then like John Howard, Roger Willis, players who are coming and taking their space. Did they treat me any different? No. Those treat me like I were the best friend. And that's just brilliant, you know, that you just get on with it. And I took that when I was later on and young kids were coming and taking my spot. I would never begrudge to it. I tried to help them, like Reeves did with me. I looked up to Reeves, like, I was 23. He was, I think he must have been in his 30s. And no, I wanted to be David Reeves. I wanted to be 10 years down the line, still scoring goals, and that's what I wanted to be.
You really hit it off as well, you two. It scored what?
We did.
Nearly 30, about 20, like 29, 30 goals between you that season, something. I think it had a great partnership.
Totally brilliant. We should have scored more. I scored 18 goals that season, and that's the worst season I've ever had. I should have scored 48, not 18. I missed so many chances. It was just ridiculous. The amount of chances I got. And then the season after, I went to Stockport. I scored 29 goals, and I probably had 29 chances. Chesterfield, they had 100 chances and scored 18 goals. I don't know if it were anything to do with what happened. I don't know whatever it were. But I should have done better, because the team we had were, I think Ryan Williams, Sean Parrish all got double figures. What players they were. Sean, I seen his podcast. Like, he was just a funny character, just lovely. Just nice people, just nice blokes, and everyone was together. That's the thing about football. No matter like I said, about whether it's 300 fans or 30, everyone's together, and we were together. Reezy was like one of them, funny, nice, brilliant, scored goals. We were very similar in the way we played. We were both not the fastest, but both decent in air. But the thing that we did both do was score goals. Could sniff a goal out. Now we wouldn't play together now, because you wouldn't put two players like that together. We don't even have two up front anymore. But we were, Reezy like, right, leave it to me. I'll wind everyone up. I'll go for headers, and you. And I love that. We'll leave that to you, Reezy. You go and get elbowed in face, and I'll. But we both helped each other. And the one thing everyone loves, a trier. And I know Reezy were the same as me. Whether you play good or bad, you've got to try. Run a ball down. No one got a free. If the ball went in channel, one of us went. No one got a free ball. No one got a free header. And if the ball went in the box, one of us were on the end of it. And that's, with the rest of the players, that's why we did so well. And
that start of that season, like, we hit the ground running straight away. So I've got the table in the background, but, won the first 3 games of the season, I think. Obviously, one of them was like a cup game, but just kind of hit the ground running in terms of how the team were all working together and scoring goals and stuff. Did it surprise you how quickly that team kind of got together and started winning games?
No, not at all. We went, I think, pre-season, we might have gone up to Scotland. And we had, like some of the characters we had, I think we might have played Air and something like that. I can't remember where we stayed, but I struggled pre-season, because one thing I hated, as I've said before, I hated games where there were nothing on it, no riding on it. So like the reserve games, and pre-season, I were terrible. But when you go to a new club, you've like got to. Whereas if you've been there 2 years and you have a bad pre-season, no one cares. Whereas when you go to a new club, I went to Chesterfield and a couple of games, and I was struggling a bit. And I remember in Scotland, and Nicky coming to me, like, listen, don't worry about it. A couple of games, whatever. But because I'd gone, and it were a bit, a bit of a price tag, and he said, don't worry about it. You'll be all right. And but the anticipation were there. No doubt, with the players we'd signed, it were definitely, we're going to do, we're going to be there. I remember looking at odds, and we were one of the favourites. Me and Reezy were, up there, top goal scorer type. It were one of them. That's where it were going to be. And we started season, and I think we might have played York. I don't think I played very well in that first game. I don't think I scored. But the good old Coca-Cola Cup got me at Port Vale, and I scored at Port Vale. But yeah, there was definitely an anticipation that we were going to, but we needed to as well. Because obviously when you get relegated, like obviously I weren't there, but Chesterfield got relegated. So if you get relegated, the chance you're going to be one of the favourites to go up.
Yeah.
Unless obviously it really has it, the fan. So not only that, and the players we'd signed, come on, like, you've got to be doing it. And at first, like I say, when I went up to Scotland, I was struggling a little bit. I just couldn't score a few games. I hated pre-season. I hated the games because there were nothing on them. Needed that buzz of Monday morning, some newspaper or Luke Beckett scored type thing, that type of thing. But no, there were definitely a big anticipation about what we needed to do.
It's funny as well. I'm looking at like the fixtures at the start of that season, and obviously because we were winning straight from the off, we were top of the league pretty much right from the start of the season, and kind of stayed there. There was a great 4-0 win against Mansfield, which you scored in, I think, near the start of that season as well. It was any kind of favourite goals that you can that are kind of top of your head from time at Chesterfield? Probably putting you on the spot a bit. God.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know every goal. That's the only thing I do is I know goals. I remember scoring Lincoln away. When you got loads of fans there, the fans were behind the goal. I don't even know if it were in a cup game. I can't remember what I scored. And the fans were just like, even though they were behind the goal, a couple of thousand. The goal I scored at Cardiff, which got us promoted but didn't. Yeah. The 3-3 game, I scored an header with 2 minutes to go, which I thought was a winner. I took my shirt off, which probably weren't a good idea in Cardiff, and then they got an equaliser, but they were up there with us. That were a good goal, but like I say, any goal I scored. But some of them games they were a lot riding on them. They were quite an intense. I mean, the Mansfield game, like I didn't realise how close that rivalry is between Chesterfield and Mansfield. We were outside the ground and like, right, look, this is, and I think we beat them 4 or 5-0. And then when I think we played them away at Mansfield, we must have had about, I think the whole ground with Chesterfield fans. It's a big rivalry, and like I said, any goal I scored, and I can name you the goal. Do you know what I mean? It's a big thing, but yeah, I think the Cardiff one when I scored an header, and like I said, the Lincoln game, like just every game. And then I think I can't even remember now. It's that long ago, but I think I scored the goal that got us promoted. I think we might have won 1-0. I can't remember because we got promoted about 3 times that year, but didn't get promoted, but did. I think I scored a goal, the 1-0 from a corner.
Yeah, it was like Kidderminster. I think it was.
Yeah,
Kidderminster. Yeah, 1-0. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember all of them. But some of them games, like we played Hull, Cardiff, and the fans were just so on it. They were the away fans and the home fans. It'd get stopped for 10 minutes because there were a bit of crowd trouble. It was like the OK Corral. That Chesterfield fans were so intense. I played at so many clubs, and they'd have middle-aged couples going in. But Chesterfield was the club where every single supporter at Chesterfield sent to be a man aged between 20 and 30 who you had to, They were playing on a Sunday morning. They wanted you to play like they would play on a Sunday morning. Just so intense and demanding. Chesterfield fans were so demanding. It is unbelievable.
Blatherwick is up from the back. He's towards the far post. It's in his direction, and he scores. Steve Blatherwick's first of the season. What a time to get it. And the champagne is back on ice at Ninian Park by Beckett and Ebden towards Reeves. Still Reeves! That's a super finish. Chesterfield back in front. No blame attached to the goalkeeper, but the defenders in front of Carl Muggleton rather stood and watched there. Ebden will take the kick. Free header, and it's in! Unbelievable! Luke Beckett has scored, and there is no way now, surely, that Cardiff can go up today. They've hardly had a chance in the second half. Their top scorer, Luke Beckett, has headed in Ebden's corner.
So how would you, for any kind of younger fans that are watching, that didn't see you for the first time, how would you kind of describe your style as a striker?
I think just like I was average at everything. Like I'm brutally honest, you know, when I went to Sheffield United, I weren't good enough for that level. I was a League One player, but I think I got the best out of what I had. I was average at everything, you know, heading, pace, I was average, ball control, dribbling, not absolutely above average. But the one thing I could do was sniff a goal. A bit same to David Reeves. Reeves was probably a better player than me, but all someone said when I went to Chester, Gary Bennett said to me, old striker, he said, listen, Luke, forget all this pity-patty youth team football. Hold the ball up. If the ball comes to you, hold it up, give it to the same coloured shirt and get in the box and score a goal. And if you do that 20 times, you'll be all right. And that's what I took. I took that advice. If the ball come up to me, I'd hold it up, play it to the same coloured shirt, even if it were a simple pass. Because if you don't play it back to the same coloured shirt, you lose possession. And players, I mean, demanded that at first team level. Lee Richardson, Ian Breckin, Blatherwick, these players would not allow you to lose the ball. So if the ball come up to you, you had to chest it, trap it, and give it to midfielder. Wide, get in the box. And then when the ball comes in the box, you've got to make a run. That sounds easy, but it's not. It's not as easy as it seems, because if it were, there'd be like 30 players scoring 20 goals a season. And when you look at the end of the season, there aren't that many. It's hard. It's not as easy. When you score a tap-in or an header at front put, it's not as easy as it seems. You've got to anticipate. Life's, I mean, I said to my kids now, life's about anticipation. You've got to anticipate. My kids are trying to drive now. Anticipate the what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I did quite well. Everything else I were average at. But when that ball went in the last third, if that ball went wide, I'd make a run. I wouldn't just stand there, front post, back post. I'd weigh up the situation. If someone had a shot, I'd follow it in. A defender would never follow in. I'd follow in. Number of times someone's had a shot come off keeper or come off post. That's anticipation. That's all it is. And if I would say like a striker, you've got to anticipate the unexpected, anticipate it coming off post, coming off keeper, or you've got to make a run. You can't just stand there with the defender. You've got to go near post. And 20 times it'd go far post, but you've only got to score one goal a game. And that's the only advice I could give is I had that. I didn't have anything else. Everything else was average, same as anyone else, same as a Sunday League player. But that anticipation and just instinct, you know.
So we're absolutely going along smoothly along that season, kind of cruising high near the top of the league, scoring lots of goals. And then the police turn up, and I mean, it in many ways it's not funny because things that happen to the club and everything. But when talking to Sean Parrish, and he was saying, you know, the first thing is players are kind of thinking, "Where's my bootleg cassettes?" or whatever it is. You know, it's kind of, the police have come for it. I mean, and I've spoken to a lot of players and even Nicky around that time now, and it becomes quite apparent that you all really didn't know really a jot of what was going on, really, and that it was just completely mad when it happened. So how did you see it from your point when police just turn up and then Nicky has to come and tell you at training?
Well, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I'd been at Chester. I'm talking about administration thing. I think Chester were the first club to ever go into. I mean, now clubs go into administration all the time. I think Chester were the first club to go into administration when I was there, and that's what happened to Chesterfield. But before that, obviously, I went to Chesterfield. I had an agent. I didn't know him. He said to me, listen, Luke, you're doing well. I've got these clubs for you. This is the wage you're going to get. It's a very good wage for that league, but you've done well. You're one of the top goal scorers. This is what I can get you. These clubs are involved. I went to speak to them all. That's what I was going to get. What happened after that, I do not know. I went in that boardroom with Nicky. I talked football. We didn't talk money because the money was already sorted. This is what you're going to get, Luke. I talked to Nicky. I liked him, and we went on. What happened after that, honestly and truthfully, even to this day, 22 years later, I ain't got a clue. Honestly, truth, I don't know what happened. All I know is that every week something happened from probably around about Christmas onwards. I think there were people in the club. I think the new ownership got rid of people but kept people on. People weren't happy with what was happening. And like I said, honestly and truthfully, I don't know. Even to this day, I keep out of things that I don't know about. If I don't know about it, I won't speak about it. I don't know. All I know is, I signed in June. I met my wife, who's been together 20 years, in October. And round about that time, they started investigating. And we was in, I don't know if it was a Daily Mirror. And every day in the Daily Mirror, it was, not here when it weren't back page news, but it were 2 or 3 pages in, it were like half a page. My wages, this, that, and other. And I just met my wife. And like, her dad's like really strict. It's like, oh, have you met here? He's doing this, he's doing that. It were quite bad. My mates today still call me biscuit tin. That's how bad it were. We were going to away grounds and they were spitting at us. Cardiff, spitting at us, like calling us biscuit tin, brown envelope. Like we were just wanted to play football. I just wanted to play football. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to. Obviously, they had a tribunal with Chester, and obviously the gist of it was that they offered me a contract and put another contract in to get the fee down, which were ludicrous, really, because I'd been offered the deal the same with 3 or 4 clubs. So then them chairman just come and said, well, hold up a minute here. I offered Luke this amount. So did I. York, Mansfield, Macclesfield. Why would he take half that money? You won't do so. It was just an unbelievable, stupid thing to happen.
It must have been tough for you because obviously you were one of the players that kind of, like you said, got kind of your name put in newspapers and stuff like that. And, and you still have to go out on the pitch and play football, don't you? And I suppose even when going away from Chesterfield and stuff like that, those kind of things can kind of stick with you, can't you, over the years?
Well, they live for years. Like everyone, I used to get biscuit tin, brown envelope at Cardiff and Brighton and them clubs who were involved. But, we are sounding a bit too thingy. I loved it. I absolutely loved going away from home. My ideal scenario was going away from home on a Tuesday or Saturday. Fans booing me, which they did, because they always used to boo the striker who was scoring. Dean Windass, Lee Trundle, them type of characters. You'd get the stick. I'd get the stick. I was getting it more. But I loved it. I loved scoring a goal and going back to halfway line, 43rd minute, Luke Beckett. I absolutely loved it. It just drove me on. I loved that, being in the limelight. And that's what did me at Sheffield United when I went to Sheffield United later on, is I wasn't that player.
Yeah.
I was a no one. And I didn't like that. I like being the man, the player that, the away fans hated because I was scoring goals. And if I scored, it were like, they'd be booing you, but they'd be really, oh God, he's gone and done it again. That type of thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
It didn't put me off at all. Because I said I should have scored more than 18 goals. I don't know if it did put me off. I don't know. I should have scored more, but I scored 18 goals. I think Reeves, he got around about the same. Parish.
Yeah, I think you just pipped him, I think.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but I think I did. I think by a couple of goals. But I think Parish, Ryan Williams all got double figures. What a team we had, but I don't think it bothered us too much. We got the points deducted, but I think if we hadn't got the points deducted, I think we were the best team. Brighton had a good team. Bobby Zamora, they had a good team. But I think we were the best. But we got the points and we managed to get through.
Yeah.
First against third should have been a close contest. Instead, it turned into a rout. And that after the Londoners had taken an early lead. Steve Watt's the scorer on a ground his side hadn't visited since 1982. And after Chesterfield's spirited fight back, they won't be in a hurry to return. Within a minute, John Howard got behind the Oath defence to slot in the equaliser. And Leyton Orient were then killed off by 3 goals in 5 devastating minutes. First, another clinical finish from Howard gave Chesterfield the lead. 60 seconds later, Rob Edwards' long ball gave Luke Beckett the chance to show off his own shooting skills. 3-1. And 6 minutes from the break, Howard unselfishly sacrificed a hat-trick to tee up Sean Parish for the 4th. To cap a miserable afternoon, Orient later had substitute Chris Tate sent off.
And we had to kind of get promoted twice, didn't we, in the end? So, I mean, it was amazing that you managed to keep winning and kind of see it through after points deduction and everything that's going on behind the scenes, to kind of see it through and kind of have to do it twice. What were the celebrations like at the end of that season?
Brilliant. The lads were brilliant. All season we were just so together. Like, we had lads there. We'd go out in Sheffield, Chesterfield, Nottingham. We'd go to Nottingham because Roger Willis, Marcus Ebden, so we'd go to Nottingham for a night out. We'd go to Sheffield, me, Reeves. We'd go to Chesterfield. The lads were just on it. Like, it was just, what a good set of lads. Like John Howard, Roger Willis, Marcus Ebden, Reeves, Blatherwick, Brecken. I could name them all. I can name all the squad. I can't name the squad in some other clubs. But them lads, I mean, I travelled in with 2 younger lads, Danny Williams, Michael Simpkins, who were young lads, just people who I'd say I've not spoken to for years, but I know that they are people who...
The kind of people, if you saw them again in the street, you'd kind of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, I've been to clubs. I've been to like Stockport, and I saw Carlton Palmer, manager. I'd not seen him for 12 years. It was just like I'd never not seen him.
Yeah.
That's what football's like. You don't speak to people for years, and I don't. But then again, I don't speak to my own friends. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of them ones on. But like I said, the lads we were together, everything. All together, like on, off, just brilliant. It's just, like I say, them days are just stick with me as being top draw days. Really, I loved it. Playing, doing what I love doing. For when you're a kid, you think, "Oh, I want to be a footballer." Getting paid to be a footballer and doing well.
Yeah.
Is just everything, really.
And then obviously we go into like second season, so you obviously didn't play that many games kind of second season, because I saw it kind of written on various places like that you were the only like saleable asset that was left. So it was like they wanted to kind of move things around. You were the kind of so it was like a bit of a swap deal, wasn't it, with you and Glyn Hurst, wasn't it? That's all you mean.
Yeah, it was a weird one, really, because we had such a good team. But the only thing, I don't mean this is disrespectful to the players that were there, but they were more, it was an old senior team. Like your players, they were brilliant players, but they weren't like going to move for any amount of money because they were, getting on sort of thing. So obviously when the proverbial hit the fan, it were like, right, we've got to, obviously when you go into administration and everything goes wrong, you've got to get rid of your asset. So anyone on big money. But a lot of the lads who were on big money were only going to go on free transfers because they were a bit older.
Yeah.
Like Reeves there. I know that's not disrespectful to Reeves, but he was in his 30s. No one's going to pay money, but he's on big wage set. Or, say like some of the older lads. So it was like, right, we've got to get rid of anyone who we can get a fee for. And obviously I was one of them. And Nicky come to me, like I said, everything I did the fan. Nicky come to me and said, listen, Luke, I've got to get rid of whoever I can. And you are one of them ones that I can get money for. And I don't know how quick it happened, but I knew Glyn Hurst from, I was a YTS with Glyn at Barnsley.
Yeah.
He was, I think he was a year older than me. We played in the reserves, absolutely. Had a partnership, brilliant. Yeah. What a player he was, character. And I'd seen Glyn out in a night in Sheffield, and he said to me, he hated it at Stockport. Carlton Palmer took over, and Carlton Palmer didn't like him. And he said to me that he thought that Chesterfield was interested in me. So we're only a couple of weeks later, I got a phone call. Nicky said, listen, we're trying to want to get rid of you. I don't want to lose you, but and I met Carlton Palmer in Sheffield, and he was the same type of character. I knew that he was going to demand. He weren't going to mess. He were going to demand from me, and they was in the Championship. Although they'd already been near enough relegated, they were bottom of the league, and it was Christmas. Just coming. So I said, yeah, let's do it. And he said about Glyn Hurst. I mean, I said at the time, I did an interview, Chesterfield got the best part of the deal because me and Glyn Hurst were similar type of players at that time, same age. Hursty was as good as me, both same players. And I can't remember exactly the deal, but I think maybe Stockport paid about 150 grand. Chesterfield got 150 grand or whatever and got Glyn Hurst. Hursty was
not a bad deal, to be fair.
was as good.
And you both scored goals.
It
wasn't like either. Sometimes if you swap strikers or whatever, one of them can not find a goal scoring form or whatever. But both of you swapped clubs and scored goals, so it kind of worked out all right in the end, I suppose, didn't it?
Of course it did. Yeah, I mean, I remember, like I said, spoke to Glyn, and he wanted the move. He didn't like Carlton Palmer, and Palmer really cut his nose off to spite his face because he could have got a fee for Glyn. No doubt, Glyn was banging goals in. He'd bang goals in for Ayr and Emily. And Glyn went, he let him go for nothing, and me paid 150, 70, So Chesterfield got a great deal. I said it at the time. I went to Stockport, did really well for 3 years. And that was the way it was. Carlton Palmer sold me the deal. He was the same type of character. I want you in there. You're my main man. I love that. I love the pressure of you are going to be the one. And it happened and I were.
And then there was a couple of other kind of big moves, wasn't there, even after then? So there was like you mentioned, Sheffield United, you ended up there and all right, it didn't, I suppose, didn't quite work out at Sheffield, but then you had kind of Huddersfield after that, didn't you? Scored a good amount of goals for Huddersfield and stuff.
Yeah, I went to Stockport, did really well, and then I had a bad injury, come back, and then I was going to sign for Hull, who was going for promotion in the Championship, but I failed the medical. I had coming back from a knee. Anyway, the agent at the time was the agent of United as well. He said, listen, I'll get you to United. And by the Monday morning, I was at Sheffield United, which was a dream move because I lived in Sheffield. It was 2 minutes from home. My wife was pregnant with twins, ready to drop. I'd got a kid. My eldest was 12-month-old. And it was just like a dream move. It was a chance. Neil Warnock said to me, listen, because at the time, Neil was signing strikers like going and buying a bag of sweets. Oh, I'll buy him. I'll buy him.
Right,
I'll buy him. I'll get rid of him. And he didn't flannel that up to me. He said, listen, Luke, I'm getting you cheap. United were going for promotion in the Championship. They were struggling for a field goal. I'm buying you for cheap. You're a local lad. It's a good marketing move for me, or young, local lad coming by.
Yeah.
But you're not going to play. You're coming back from your knee. We'll get you right, and we'll see how it goes. That's what he said to me. And I said, fair enough. And I went to United, and it didn't work out for me. It didn't work out. I was sub, coming on odd time, and I just wanted to play. I hated being a nobody. I went to United, and other than the ardent fans, I mean, you go to Barnsley, you go to Chesterfield, and they've got ardent fans who know you. I went to Sheffield United, and some of the fans would know me, but they're like the over 20,000. But we had a signing day, and we were all on a table, and I think most of the people thought that I was like the kit man, and that hurt me. I've got to admit, I thought, wow, I've gone from Stockport and Chesterfield, where people are naming the kids after me, and I'm top man, and I didn't like it at all. I thought, wow, I'm like a nobody. That's what I was at United. I was a nobody. I didn't like it, not at all. And I had about a month there. Then he bought another striker. Danny Webber come in, and I said to Neil, listen, Neil, come back from injury. Can I go on loan? And he went, yeah. And he sent me out on loan to Huddersfield. Scored 6 goals in 7 games in League One, where I was comfortable in League One. Come back to United. United was struggling. Played 1 game down at Cardiff, 0-0. Back on bench. And then I went back out on loan to Oldham in League One for the rest of the season. Kept them up, scored a few goals. And then went back pre-season, and he said, listen, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go on loan. Went on loan to Oldham all season. Scored 18 goals in the, whatever. So United was a great move. It was good at the time because I could spend time with my kids. We just had twins. Like I said, I signed for United on the Monday. My wife had the kids on the Thursday, twins. We've got 3 kids under 12-month-old. So I had the time with the kids. I was training at United, and I was back for 1.
Yeah.
So it was good in that sense, but I never ever felt up. I mean, I think actually I was at United for about 2.5 years, like in actual contract. But I was on loan, and I only ever played 1 game for United down at Cardiff. And
so and then you finished off like you mentioned Gainsborough. That was when Reeves and Blatherwick were kind of at Gainsborough.
Yeah, I went to Reeves's wedding in the summer of, I think it might have been 2007, and even then I was saying to Reeves, I've had enough of that. I just had enough of the. And Reeves were flapping about and stuff, doing whatever, and had a good day at his wedding. And then it was later on that year, and he was at Gainsborough. And I'd been at so many clubs where chairman had waffled on at how much money they had, Chester and Chesterfield. And he said, listen, Luke, I'm at Gainsborough. You'd said to me that you're not playing at Huddersfield. What about coming here? The owner owns Wilkinson's, Wilco's. He's putting a load of money in. He wants some big names in. And I said, I'm ready. I weren't playing at Huddersfield. I was sub. I didn't like that. I like to be the sort of main man type thing. I weren't playing. And he said, right, well, I'll have a word. Reeves and Blatherwick were there. Steve Blatherwick. And I looked at games where they were in Conference North. And he said to me, right, blah, blah, blah. So I went to Huddersfield. I said, listen, I'm not, is there any chance of me leaving? And Huddersfield were brilliant. They said, yeah, we'll do this. have you got something sorted? Yeah. So we sorted a contract out and everything. And I went to Gainsborough and Reeves was there. And I went there, I think, in November. And I scored 18 goals in about 25 games. I found it easy, without being disrespectful. Easy. Because there were, I mean, Danny Wilson wanted me at Hartlepool. They were in League One. When I went into Huddersfield that day and I said, listen, I mean, there were other factors to why I left professional game. My mum weren't very well. She got dementia. I wanted to help out with my mum and dad. That was the main reason. My kids were young. And everything worked out good for me. And I went there and they sorted it out for me. And the players were like, all the players at Huddersfield, look, I can get you. I know manager at Rotherham. I know manager at Bradford. You know, everyone were like, so like, this is what I'm saying about football. The lads were just, they didn't want me to do what I was going to do. And I said, listen, I'm doing it. It's not for that reason.
Yeah.
It's for another reason. I'm leaving. I don't care what other club wants to come in for me. I don't care what money. I'm going to Gainsborough. And don't get me wrong, Gainsborough were offering me good money for that level. But I could do it. I'd sorted everything out and everything was fine. And that's what I did. And yeah, I went to Gainsborough. Breezy were there and usual, picked up where the banter left off. And had a great time. I think Reezy left after probably about half a year. Manager got sacked and Brian Little come in. But Reezy, you know, did brilliant to get me there. And it all went well. And they were big press then, you know, I'd gone to Gainsborough and League One player coming. And not like I said, I weren't a shot League One player. I mean, I could have probably still played even League One.
What's your relationship now like with football then? Because I can tell, speaking to you, that actually for you, football was scoring goals and being in front of fans. And I've spoken to loads of players and some go into coaching, some just completely leave football behind and just don't watch it anymore. What's like your relationship with football now? Like,
well, I finished in about 2011. I didn't want anything to do with football. I never ever wanted to stay in football. From being a young kid, I never ever. Like Andy, I was at with Huddersfield, Andy Bove. He was going to be a postman, and I said, I'm just going to do whatever. It don't matter. I just don't want to be involved in football. I've given it me all, and I want to come step aside. And that's exactly what I've done. I have nothing to do with football whatsoever. I don't speak to anyone. Not because I'm bitter. I did everything that I wanted to do in football. Got the best out of myself. I don't regret anything. Nothing. There's not one person who I've come across in football who could ever say, I wouldn't have thought a bad word about me. Mm-hmm. I've got oh my God, I still speak to him now, but everyone I've come across, if I saw him tomorrow, it'd be fine. All has got on with everyone. I've never had a crossword with anyone other than half time and you have a row and then you get on with it. Never had a crossword with anyone. Never had no bad things to say about anyone. And I don't think anyone could ever say anything bad about me. You know, I wouldn't have thought so. But yeah, I just wanted out and I tried a couple of things. I did a personal training. I was non-league and I did personal training. I just couldn't get on with it. I just weren't for me. And yeah, I'm out of football. I spent a few years where I wouldn't even watch a football match. I was like totally out of it, you know, drinking and eating and doing whatever. And now as the years go on, I'm sort of getting back at that. My daughter likes football and she wants to go to the games. And so it's like getting sort of back into it because you sort of get out of it and then you get the love back. And I watched the World Cup and the Euros, but I don't get time to. I mean, I ain't even got Sky Sports. I don't even watch football because I've got 3 girls. It's Love Island and, you know, Big Brother or whatever. whatever it is, I don't get time to watch.
Do not
anything.
get the remote at all.
No, I just can't get remote. So it's no good. If I want to watch football, I'll watch YouTube. I'll watch the goals, City goals against Man United. When they beat Man United, that type of thing. Other than that, just totally out of it, but not in a bad way. When I was a footballer, I was never a footballer in person. I never liked all I turned up to United and had a 7-seater because I just got me. I were having my kids and like a 10-year-old 7-seater. The lads were taking the mickey. I didn't care. I never ever bothered about the Range Rover and I've got this. And anyone who you ever spoke to, I was just so down to earth, like just the norm. I just wanted to be normal, just like that type of thing. And that's exactly what I've done. I just can't get any more normal than what I am doing now.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of all Chesterfield fans, thank you for all those goals, because there were some, like you say, even now, 20 years on, people always still talk about your goals that season and obviously that promotion. And, it's no doubt a turbulent time, but there was a promotion and there was lots of goals and there was some cracking football. It was just, people look back at that team and look back at you goal scoring. It was an incredible kind of year or so that you were with us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it were. I've never been involved. That's the only promotion I ever had of all the years I was playing. Never had. I was always involved in the lower end of the table. That was the only time I ever got promotion. So it's not too hard to say that they were the best. That was the best team I ever played, but it were. It was, like I said, the players that we had, Pollitt, I can name the team now, Breckin, Reeves, Blatherwick, Payne, Edwards, Reeves, Ebden, Wilk, me and Reeves, I can, Brian Williams, Sean Parrish. It was just, and yeah, we had a bit of luck with the money that they could get them players in. But a lot of people can get the players in but can't. So Nicky's got to take a lot of credit. And he did, and he went on and done. I don't know what he's doing now, but he did really well with us because we were all, it's not easy to have players that are a bit early strong. And I weren't because I were a bit younger, but, your Reeveses and Pollitts and senior players, and he managed to keep them in line,
Job and half, that is.
Well, you wouldn't, looking at Nicky, you wouldn't even look at him now and look at him and think, I'm going to take Mickey, would you? You just wouldn't do it. So
definitely not.
We didn't do it then, and you probably wouldn't do it now. So
have you got like a box in the loft then with all of like your old shirts and bits and stuff like that in it? I can't imagine you're the type of player that have got framed shirts on the wall and stuff like that.
No, I've got, you can see I've got the kids in here. What I did have at the other house, we moved house and I had a few framed shirts, but they're in the garage, on the tris of the garage, just because just ain't got room to put them in anymore. And you know what I mean? No one's really bothered. The kids don't. I've got a couple of balls, hat-trick balls are in the cabinet in the living room. But really, like I said, when you have 3 girls, the kids, they don't care.
Yeah.
They've not cared for years. It's only when like the boyfriend your dad will, and they'll look on YouTube and they'll be a bit proud of me, but not give a monkeys before then. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just dad, aren't you? Just someone who shouts at them all, or you've got to go to bed now. But this stuff there, every now and again I do. Like I say, YouTube's a great. Every now and again when I'm on my own, I'm not going to say I don't, because it's like, people say I don't. Of course they do. I'll look on YouTube. Every now and again I'll put my goals on. And I'll have a little smirk, because I don't do anything, and I don't think any other time. I don't think, oh God, I wish I were still football. I don't. Did what I did. But every now and again I do look at my goals and I think, God, that was, funny, or didn't do too bad. considering, you know, maybe the way that things went early on. It worked out okay.
Not only did you and Reeves have the goals, but you also had the personality to go with it. And like I remember there was like a soccer AM where there was goal celebration and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, well, that led from me going to Chesterfield, and we played pre-season like I said, in Scotland, and I didn't score a goal, and I was under a bit of pressure. And I played the first game of the season, and even though we beat York, I didn't score. And Port Vale was on the Tuesday. Always the Coca-Cola Cup, Rumble, or whatever it was called, was on the Tuesday. We played Port Vale, and I scored an header, and I jumped into Reeves's and kissed him. I was that happy. That's what you do. I mean, that's what you do. That's what I'm talking about, the intensity of just a goal. It was like, I jumped in Reeves's arm and kissed him, and it were on Soccer AM all year. Used to play the music, and it was just like that. That's what it were, and that happened with Soccer AM. And in them days, everyone watched Soccer AM, you know, like, and me and Reeves were on, and Ellen Chamberlain come later on in the year, and she presented us with a picture of me like in Reeves' arms, and I've still got it into somewhere. I don't know, it's somewhere in Loft somewhere, I don't know, but yeah, just great days.